You know, it's funny. I like how Cringe Crew went the double Guardian and the very tanky lineup, even Erlang Shen being relatively tanky, after the Nemesis pick.
I mean, the big thing here, what we notice is that the tanky lineup works and also the tanky sustain lineup works. There's two flex options there, but it all revolves around the tanky lineup.
For sure.
At least two frontliners, that's what you need, and they've got to be ones that can weather the storm.
And it wasn't even Zyrhoes that was that tanky, honestly, because he went Ninja Tabby into Witchblade, into the Icavow, knowing that just how tanky Repikas was going to be, as well as EmilZy. So overall, great communication between the teams. Like, I'll be a little bit tanky later on once I finish off my Bulwark of Hope.
Freya going to be the first ban out of here. Cyclone don't want to see that character go off a little bit crazy, so that one will be banned. And I think a strong Fafnir, that's a great choice. Kalas has been a very strong Fafnir player.
Expecting a ban from Cringe Crew more than likely. If it's not, I actually think it's going to have to be Jingwei or Terra here from Cringe Crew, because I think Cyclone should leave both of those up. That means they'll get VoteNBK Jingwei, or they'll pick up the Terra, and we've seen how dominant Terra can be.
Something I've noticed this whole weekend was Ao Kuang is the only god that gets banned away from Energy. No other team has really picked or banned it, and I'm really surprised by that fact. It's such a really good, strong god, and I feel like
no other team has adapting. That's why.
Yeah. That's the
cut and dry of that one. Analysis done right there.
Yeah.
If you have adapting in your squad, you ban Ao Kuang.
I mean, to be fair, though, you can't really ban him out in general because he can play other guys just as well as he can play Ao Kuang.
But it's about the play style, right? When it comes down to it, Ao Kuang is one of these hard carry junglers, and even when you look at a Thor, that's going to be a setup character. There's other options. Ao Kuang's job is he's Loki, right? He's modern Loki. Cringe Crew, Repikas isn't that guy anymore.
However, iceicebabyy, you know, a few people like Variety, like I said, refer to him as budget adapting. If he pulls it out, that could be something he could go off on as well. It could be an option that Cyclone could look into, but I don't know whether Ice is really focused on trying it out so much.
Yeah, that's certainly something to think about. And like you were mentioning earlier, VoteNBK will be able to get the Jing Wei.
That does not surprise me at all here, because Terra, a lot of teams are starting to realize that in a team environment, Terra is OP. The ultimate is just so good in a team environment. Online play, you know, rank play, different situation. You can't utilize that ultimate as well. Just like Xbalanque for the most part. You can utilize it, but the team won't follow up with it and abuse it. You can with communication.
It seems that Cringe Crew adapted their style in the solo lane. Usually Zyrhoes is more used to the tier, the Amaterasu. Every now and then he'll play the Vamana, but this whole weekend he's been really leaning on the Erlang Shen, and I think that's kind of going due past set against Energy when he kind of got destroyed by Dimmy.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but either way, it's certainly working out here. I think he was the driving force of game number 1, and so I have no problem with him repeating his pick.
Well, driving force here for Cyclone. Eyesight going to the Fenrir, and I like this choice from him here. Very aggressive in the early stages as well. I'd be interested to see where he ends up going with the ganks early on. I want to see a lot of pressure out of him in the early stages. Obviously, Hombat's before 5 isn't as deadly as a Fenrir is.
Absolutely. Fenrir's going to want to make plays on the side lanes. Ganking in Erlang Shen is a little risky, but if you can catch him before the ultimate, you can more than likely kill him before that 4-second heal will pop off. It's going to be very important to see what Cringe Crew elect to pick as their hunter to see whether or not Fenrir on iceicebabyy will gank the dual lane or if he'll just be more content in farming it up.
It does seem like Cringe Crew, though, is just going for a solid composition here. I mean, Erlang, Hombat's, Rama, there's nothing too special. Still surprised we've seen so much Hombat's here, and it's not because he's great on LAN, I feel. It's just because comfort pick and he plays well on LAN.
I think the Hunbat's picks are coming out a lot. They're just disruptive, and a lot of these teams really have plans for what they want to do. Geb coming out of the woodwork here, or the stonework rather, for Cringe Crew. We're going to see EmilZy play on this character.
I like. Go on,
very, very smart pickup.
Yeah.
I like that pun that you did actually earlier. But anyway,
I borrowed it from Aggro.
It was. It's a great counter pick towards the Fenrir. We saw them hovering over the Ram, but they realized like, okay, we don't necessarily need Ram here. We'd rather survive against the aggression coming out of iceicebabyy. We can't allow them to go into an early start.
Completely agree with that choice as well. The Geb will obviously delete the Fenrir's option of the Ragnarok. The shield will come out to cancel that out. Same time, it can stop some of the damage from the Vulcan ultimate as well. Those shields will help to prevent some of that damage potentially. And on top of that, by showing the Rama, if we do see Cyclone ban that now, I expect to see potentially Sol come out here from Shaggyshenk. They've got 2 heavy physicals already. They could look for a magical hunter.
Or even the Chronos at this point in time. We haven't seen too many Cronoses in this group. It's funny, we see seen it more in Group A and B than the Group C, but this is kind of the style that all these groups have developed their own little meta. It was the take meta in Group A, the snipe montage meta in Group B, and Group C, I still feel like it's a little bit of mix and match.
Yeah, Group C, these teams I don't think are as defined as some of the other groups, right? Energy is sort of in a league of their own, even now, and then the other teams are just kind of struggling to find their footing and figure out what teamwork play they want to employ. Here, Cringe Crew are going to go for the Ram. Like you said, I kind of expected something like a Chronos, especially for Shaggyshenk.
I mean, possibly here. I'm not sure Chronos' matchup versus the Fenrir. That's why I wasn't sure about that. But Sol would have been okay with the Disapparate to be able to avoid some of that damage coming in as well. Yeah, you can get chased through, but you're not taking damage.
Sure.
But on top of that one as well, I do like where Cringe Crew's going here. There's a lot of control in these team fights, if you notice, to disrupt the team fight a lot of the time. The Geb knockup's obviously something obvious there. The Hornbat's Fear No Evil. But then you've got two cripples on the other two gods that we've not really spoken about. You've got Erlang Shen with the pin. Those cripples will shut down a Fenrir and even a Vulcan from backfiring and a Jing way from getting away.
Kumbhakarna, the selection for Cyclone, and Bellona. This is by far Deathwalker's best god in the solo lane. So Cyclone going to lean on the comfort pick for the solo laner on their side. Other on Cringe Crew, they've got final selection. This is likely going to be the mid lane choice.
I don't really expect too much coming out of Deathwalker in the early laning phase against Zyrhoes. Erlang Shen should be able to control that matchup fairly easily, and knowing the way Zyrhoes has adapted recently, he should be able to excel.
Even with the Scourge on Bellona?
I would say so for the most part, because whenever you constantly play against Dimmy, you know the little ins and outs of the tools of the trade for Erlang Shen, so he should be able to control it early on, unless we're going to see iceicebabyy maybe camp the soul lane.
I really love this last pick from Cringe Crew. The Janus just to round out this composition. If you notice, they've got a lot of physical here, need a magical that's going to do some decent damage in the later stages of the game. Very safe, great mobility for the team as a whole. That whole team is very mobile, and Rama as well, take into account, if he gets into trouble, go to the sky, Janus ults across. Erlang Shen gets in trouble, uses his ult, taunts him in, gets a heal, rotation across from Janus.
You sound like you're pinning for Cringe Crew here in this game number 2.
It looks good, and I love the Kumbhakarna pick. I just want to touch on that for a second. I do think the pick from Kumbhakarna is very smart against a very auto-attack focused team here. It does come in handy against that, but I don't think Cyclone have it here. I still think Cringe Crew's comp is just too well-rounded.
And Toli?
I would say so, absolutely. Cringe Crew are just too safe of a composition. Cyclone, they need to get off to an early start. If iceicebabyy doesn't make a play happen with Wlfy, then they're going to crash and burn very quickly.
Agreed.
I think that's an if that could certainly be a little bit more positive than not. It might be a split, even though Cringe Crew wins their first game. Casters, take us away.
Well, Cringe Crew did only need one game in this set to stay alive for Super Regionals. Really want that 2-0, though, feeling a lot more confident going on for the later parts of the day. But this time, a lot of CC for both teams, not just Cringe Crew in their lineups.
I like both drafts here. I mean, the setup for Wlfy on this Vulcan is going to be excellent with the Ragnarok, the stuns from Unchained, and of course the Epic Uppercut and Mesmerizes, as well as the Eagles Rally going to do a lot of work as well. EmilZy actually gets caught here. The roots being taken by Kalas. EmilZy might die here.
And body blocks are good from Kalas as well. The portal, there we go, Kero. Best play I've seen from you in 3 days.
Well, the problem with that is that he doesn't have Unstable Vortex to clear the buff camp. So
that's true.
Good
but at
play
least
overall.
EmilZy didn't get first blooded.
That's true. That's true. We'll have to see how well they're able to clear. We saw actually yesterday, I believe it was, these two teams, because of an interesting invade sort of situation.
Yeah.
We saw Deathwalker back and pick up a Wrath. This time it's not going to be able to happen here. EmilZy already picking up the blink, so this clear on the red buff side of the map is going to be very slow for Cringe Crew.
And it's going to be brutal, especially for that Geb who always has trouble if he doesn't gain lane control. We know he gets bullied. He kind of has to sit at that in those minions to get his knock-up, to get off the main source of damage for him. But we'll see if Cringe Crew can recover. I don't think it'll be too brutal for him.
I mean, Portal does not clear very well,
No,
man.
it doesn't.
It's
also,
better than Threshold, though.
It's one of those things, too. You know how, like, Tears will use their... Like, Fearless does more damage, but because the buff is knocked up, you can't auto-attack. Like, right there. It's actually delaying damage because no one can auto-attack it while it's in the air.
Well, I mean, it looks like they were able to do back still and not be too much later to lane than normal. That Soulstone definitely helping out with clear overall. In fact, Wlfy only going to get there about a step or two ahead of time, but the lane clear,
Yes.
I mean, the red buff clear was a problem, but the lane clear is going to be even worse with the portal.
And now Cyclone can probably look to abuse this. Ice actually going to the right-hand side, jumps immediately in onto Repikas, who's just focusing on the wave himself. And Cyclone going to get off a lot of damage, force Repikas's jump out, and they have complete lane control on the right-hand side, rotate rotating over to those fire elementals, and I imagine they're going to be able to get those right side harpies as well.
Looks like Kero wants to try and solo these left-hand harpies all by himself. Janus not the best at clearing these early. You're going to see how much damage he's going to take. That's his only health pot available, and he's going to use it here.
That Soulstone, though, being very helpful for him, and you can see Ice. I think if he knew Kero was on those, probably would have saved his abilities for him as he rotated back into the lane, but this has opened up Ice to be able to steal away the back harpies uncontested, and Wlfy just throwing out that poke, making sure that Cringe Crew is uncomfortable as possible and giving them no chance to contest.
Especially with Kero already using that only health pot that he's able to purchase at the start of the game, and you got to recognize that. Deathwalker going aggressive, as is Zyrhoes, using that pressure onto Bellona, but Ice is making the rotation to the solo
And
lane.
look at that, Death is actually baiting himself a little bit, staying aggressive. I think Zyrhoes has noticed what's going on. He's backed up, and I think he did spot Fenrir around the corner. He's looking right at him. Ice has to know this has been spotted out.
Unfortunate. He does hit level 4, so Ice able to get a little bit of farm, not a completely wasted rotation. Kero going to be able to pick up at least part of this wave all by himself. Ice coming around the back.
They have no
Cringe Crew
idea.
don't know.
And he's going to look for the jump. He is spotted by minions, but instead just going to go for the wave. The reason that happened, actually, we did see the ping from Zyrhoes on the right-hand side, actually pointing to where Ice was about 3 seconds before Ice was already making his rotation over to the mid. Probably thanking themselves a little bit. I am surprised that Ice didn't jump on them and just go for some free poke.
He must not have had all 5 runes active, not going for the stun. That was probably why he decided not to jump in. And you mentioned it, Zyrhoes pinging that out. He's played mid lane long enough to know how terrible it is to get ganked by Fenrir from behind. Able to help out his team. So right now, Cyclone, it's basically even. Cyclone has a small gold lead due to the fact that they were able to pick up those fire elementals as well as split the right harpies a little bit more efficiently. But overall, this game is even.
Oh, surprisingly enough, Ice gonna back. I guess, again, spotted out. Shaggy knew it was gonna happen. Deathwalker, I think, only getting 1 there, but does hit level 5 off of the fire elementals. Zyrhoes was 5 from that wave, and gold about even. But so far, I mean, this has been pretty back and forth. The Erlang and Bellona have been swinging away at each other.
That's what you want, man. They both like to put the pressure on in the early game, and both of these guys have made big impacts in certain games this weekend. Zyrhoes making a huge impact. Deathwalker having a solid start on Bellona. I believe that was yesterday. Wasn't able to transition it into the mid to late game. We'll see if he's able to do a little bit better this time around if he's able to get a lead.
And this is his most comfortable god. You know, I was talking to a couple players around here. It doesn't matter if the Bellona doesn't make sense in a composition. He's just so comfortable on it. They would almost always rather have him on this Bellona in an important game than something else that he's not going to be as comfortable on, that he's not going to be as fluid on. Weakness in the god pool, I think, for Deathwalker, but Bellona can always be useful.
She's not but the top tier solo laner that she used to be, but still very useful, like you mentioned. And well, I mean, Deathwalker is always willing to try new things out. We saw him with that Shield of Regrowth on Robin, the Frenzy start for Chalk.
Let's not talk about that one. That one doesn't count.
Yeah, I wish I could not talk about it. Here's the Blink initiation from EmilZy. A perfectly timed purification is going to get Wlfy out of danger.
Though, and blinks down. EmilZy has no idea. He is going to get stunned, and here's the combo. But the timing way off from Wlfy. Here comes the snipe, connects onto Ice, trying to get away. The chase from Repi, but he misses the jump. Still connects on the overhand smash for first blood.
Should have gone through the portals instead. Going to get tossed up. Epic uppercut's going to be good. Deathwalker able to pick up the kill on the rotation, but just super sloppy there from Cyclone. Wlfy and Ice rarely off the mark that much, but that wasn't good.
And we talked about it the other day where Vulcan, depending on how far the Vulcan ult is sitted, changes that speed. We know Pretty Prime is a master at it. Wlfy, though, I think expected that Vulcan ult to be in the air a little bit longer. It was a very short ult. They were looking for the combo, but Ice really had no chance to put EmilZy in it in time.
But there was no reason for it to be a short shot because
he could have just went straight on there.
He should have went straight on him, exactly. Ice would have been able to hold him on the edge of it and still bring him close enough to get followed up on with the backfire turret combination. That one's on Wlfy overall.
And Ice, I mean, this is his god that we saw him dominate on. I think starting off a game, what was it, 7-1?
Yeah.
Making absurd plays. This is definitely a comfort pick for him as well, and I think it's a comfort pick for Cyclone across the board. Maybe not so much the Kumbhakarna for Callus. He was kind of targeted out. We saw the Sobek and Ares, obviously gods that really shut down that Geb, but Kumbhakarna is still going to bring so much control in these extended engagements.
Kumbhakarna, one of the hardest gods to just deal with with on a base level. It's just so annoying getting mezzed out for 3 seconds and just not being able to move or anything. That epic uppercut gonna do a great job of setting up for Wlfy. Zyrhoes forced to use the ultimate.
No.
Deathwalker's going for the kill before the heal goes off. One auto attack short, but Zyrhoes might still be dead.
He's trying to get away, but there's the turtle just in time, and Deathwalker, I think he knew the timing as well, just backing out. Easily could have chased him under tower if that wasn't up. But Deathwalker there, Zyrhoes taunts him, and he's like, okay, I'm going to get a heal, but it's not like a hard CC. You're still going to get basic attacked by Deathwalker or anyone you taunt.
Plus, it takes a little bit for that to get going. Ice looking for the kill onto Zyrhoes, but he had just backed. A little bit unfortunate. Teleport coming in. Ice just trying to get out. He's like, I'm sorry, dude. It was just a joke. Let me go.
And Zyrhoes quickly turns around, tries to throw the pin. I think he did step into that tower range, so was spotted out. And now Kalis rotating over to the right-hand side. We've seen Ice really look for a lot of fights on the right-hand side. Kalis in a little bit of trouble. Oh, actually, that timing from his ult makes a lot of that CC immune, but he's still going to get picked up.
Doesn't matter. Good rotation from Zyrhoes. Better snipe from Kero. Kalis falls down. Second kill of the game for Cringe Crew, and that one going the way of Kero is going to help him stay relevant in the sort of arc of this game. Obviously, Vulcan, we talk about it all the time with him, how strong that late game is, but Janus has the same sort of one-shot potential that a Vulcan has. It's not as easy to confirm, but it's still there. So accelerating towards that late game is also going to be very beneficial for Cringe Crew, as well as the fact that you heard it during the analyst desk section. There's not a whole lot of magical damage on the side of Cringe Crew. Geb's not going to put it out even as much as, say, a Kumbhakarna will. So having that big magical burst is going to help them a lot.
Late game, sure, when he has the Cataclysm and it's this huge percentage of health, but it's very rare to see a Geb level 20 in any game. It'd be interesting. I'd love to go back and see how often a Geb hit level 20 in an SPL match. I bet you it's under 10%.
Yeah, it's probably not very often. Support's always a little bit farther behind in levels and gold, but Geb's one of those that it's worth to get level 20 on. We should see some Geb solo sometime.
Omega did it at the COG Invitational last year.
Oh yeah, he did.
And he destroyed with it, I think.
I
could be wrong. He probably just fed his brains out.
Especially with the recent buffs, taunting out that bludgeon, but Zyrhoes still in a little bit of trouble.
Oh, caught the turtle.
Interrupts it, but it's not going to matter. The heal is going to come off. Good plays from both sides, but all for naught.
Cyclone is starting up this Gold Fury, and here's the combo. Wlfy on the mark this time, and EmilZy immediately knocked up by Kalis after, and the Gust as well. He can't do anything but through space in time. Kero connects onto 2, chasing out Ice. Unstable Vortex cannot connect, but he is slowed, and here's the rest of the team. Ice, he's got no help. You can just see them covering those options.
What an awful situation for EmilZy. He gets picked up by Ragnarok, dropped through a portal, hit by, whatever, it doesn't matter. He got hit by everything there, it felt like. Able to pick it off. 1 for 1, though. Good job by Kero. Another great snipe. We talked about how loose he is going to be with his ultimates. How well can he play loose in these sort of high-pressure situations. Looking great on this Janus so far.
He's not always going to have that Ragnarok to pick up EmilZy and keep him in place. It's going to be important. He's going to have to hit those big ultimates where he hits multiple targets as well, I think, if Cyclone are going to have a shot in this game.
Exactly. We saw him off the mark the first time. The second time, it looked a little bit better. But eventually, EmilZy did fall. But you saw how many resources Cyclone had to use in order to get that kill. And it's only going to start becoming more resources as the game goes on. EmilZy going to get very, very tanky on that Geb. And the sort of crit damage that Vote's going to be putting out on this Jing Wei, not going to be effective up against that passive from Geb, which reduces critical damage.
I'll be interested to see if Vote even does go crit. I know some people will make that adaptation against a Geb, go for, that chin size executioner, that full penetration build. They'll get a Titan's Bane as well, very Germain style.
I would still rather see him go for the crit. Yes, it won't be as effective up against Geb, but with the explosive bolts, we saw the amount of damage that guys like Ataraxia were able to do with that sort of crit build on Jing Wei. The explosive bolts just bolstering your critical strike chance so much. It's just so effective up against the squishy targets.
And here we go again. Deathwalker and Zyrhoes going at it, burning their ultimates, just trading off. And it made sense in the early game. We definitely saw some kill potentials, but here, Witchblade picked up for Bellona, Witchblade close to being finished from Zyrhoes. Very unlikely we see a kill without someone ganking.
Ninja Tab I actually picked up for Deathwalker here. We usually see those on Erlang Shen if you're going to see one, but just trying to get that extra damage or extra health back from the Scourge. We'll have to see if he wants to go aggressive like Zyrhoes did last game.
Hi, Repi. Deathwalker sees him through the wall, does have that ward, but he still is pushed up, and he actually is is going to ult in place because it was a bait the whole time. Ice has made the rotation. Repi, no purification was used against Deathwalker, and he's going to get picked up there, rooted. Ice finds his first kill of the game, and I love the bait from Deathwalker.
Deathwalker played it perfectly, forces out the purification with the Eagles rally, just said, yeah, I'm totally free. Don't worry about any sort of rotations. You mentioned it, you saw him on the ward, but it didn't matter. Ice was already on top of it. Comes over along with Kalas, and the best news for Cyclone is that with Kalas on that right-hand side, we didn't see Cringe Crew immediately head towards that Gold Fury.
We did see Shaggy and VoteNBK boxing. VoteNBK actually getting the better of him. And we haven't really seen VoteNBK do too much so far. He has picked up, you know, the one kill onto EmilZy at that Gold Fury fight, but this is a very similar strategy to Obey, where they first picked the Jing. And the thing is, Jing is the safest hunter in the game. Probably the best thing you can have for VoteNBK.
Yes, but he's not going to play it safe. Let's be real. I mean, my man's going to start going in any minute now. As soon as he finishes that Ichabal, which would allow him to box better in lane, sealing away physical power from Shaggyshenk, I expect to see him start playing very aggressively. And that's what's so strong about Jing is that, yes, she is the safest hunter of the game, and you can play very safe, but you can also just turn on the gas pedal and start going on people.
We saw Barra do that a lot last group, and honestly, Barrow, probably the best hunter I've seen from all three groups so far. I mean, Emilito's been showing up, but a lot of that's his team too.
Those two, I'd say, are definitely a step above the rest. I mean, Zapman and Eager obviously placing first in that group, but it was really their objective team play and how Aurora played that was really the standout for me in that group. Barracuda, there was a lot of talk about Barra versus Zap in Group B. For my money, Barra got the better of Eager, of Zapman, but Eager got the better of Luminosity as a whole. But you're right. It's tough to take anything away from the way Emilito has played this weekend. I mean, his Freya has been absolutely insane.
Well, game one of this one was more objective-based from Cringe Crew, utilizing that Athena to burn a lot of relics and ultimates, and then going for those 3 uncontested Gold Furies. Again, Cringe Crew really want the 2-0 here. They'll be 1 point below Obey, and they face Obey later on.
They face them next. They're staying on the sets right now after this set, and they're going up against Obey, and that's going to be huge. I think it will determine who goes to Super Regionals that game.
And Obey getting the better of Cringe Crew pretty handedly, I would say, in the first game. Second game, obviously, Cringe Crew were able to fight back, but it was a much highly... And that's the thing, Cringe Crew are winning these second games, but they're not clean wins. It's not like they're dominating. They get absolutely destroyed in their first games outside of, obviously, this one, and their second games are just these neck-and-neck battles.
They look a lot better in the second games overall, though, but this time it's Cyclone looking a little bit better. Cringe Crew, like we mentioned, that game fell off a cliff. I mean, it was the one fight in middle lane it was a very close game, about a 4,000 gold lead for Cringe Crew, and then all of a sudden, the roof comes off and they just accelerate to the win out of nowhere. This time, a game a lot more even. I mean, the gold difference is negligible. The experience difference is negligible. In fact, everyone is the same level except for EmilZy hitting level 12.
Well, and he's going to blink in off of that. Here comes the ultimate. Wlfy staying alive for now with the Sanctuary, but to the back line goes Repi. He actually jumps away. Switching on to Kalas. Ice was very deep as well. He's got to retreat. He has no support. Really surprising that Repi did not commit to that kill.
Repi just missed the auto attack after teleporting in, was just out of range to hit him with it, and now it's going to be Cringe Crew starting up the Gold Fury. Kero, another perfect snipe there, by the way. Great game so far.
VoteNBK, I feel like he's got to come in now with that Gust, just disrupt them. Don't let him get it low. Don't try and contest it. The Gust going to be off the mark. Ice jumps in as well, immediately turned on. Crit's coming through for Vote. He's going to ult, but Cringe Crew already secured the Gold Fury. I believe that was a Wrath. No, it wasn't a Wrath. It was just straight up damage coming out from them.
So Ice had the Wrath. He was good. That's why he went in. He went in to try and steal that Gold Fury away with the Wrath, but it just wasn't quite low enough. VoteNBK, that needs to be communicated between those two players. He needs to say, all right, hey, I'm going in with the Wrath. You got to get it low enough to make sure that they don't leash it. Instead, Vote in the back, doesn't step into the circle. It would put him in danger, but if the call is to contest Gold Fury, you've got to try and get it.
I almost feel like Vote should have been the first one in. Throw that Gust, disrupt the fight, make Cringe Crew turn on you, then that gives the opportunity for Ice to jump in, and it's probably a closer fight. I mean, Vote had the ult anyway. It was relatively safe, but that's one of the struggles of Cyclone. We've seen the mechanics be there. Fantastic. We've seen them have solid team fights. But when it comes to objective and kind of how to play a fight that isn't as clean as just straight up doing damage, there's something missing.
That's usually how it is for these bottom level teams. It's one of the hardest transitions to make in competitive Smite. I mean, everyone can press their buttons pretty well at this level, but how well can you work as a unit and make the quick, concise calls? That's the problem. We listen into Cyclone's comms, and it's chaos, man. I mean, everyone is talking about things that we heard them after a push the other day where it was a Repi actually get perfect Ragnarok though, or perfect shield off the Ragnarok. Repi still in a little bit of trouble, forced to jump away. There's the Fear No Evil as well, just trying to get Ice off of him.
Ice very deep. He's trying to get over the wall, does have the jump. No one dies in that fight, but Kero through the portal, he is going to pick up Ice. 5th kill for Cringe Crew, and they've opened up an opportunity to siege this tier 1 and mid. It's taken a little bit of damage, and Shaggy has rotated over.
Perfect shield by EmilZy is what I was trying to say at the beginning of that engagement. Shoutouts to him. No purification on Repikas, gets picked up by Ragnarok and immediately immune to turning the fight for Cringe Crew.
Callus going to get portaled down and forced out as well. Deathwalker still up close here. And Cyclone, they're trying to fend off Cringe Crew. Cringe Crew did open up this game with that Gold Fury. They got this pick in mid as well. If they get this tower, it's going to start to lean in their favor. And I don't think either team wants to make a decision on what to do right now. We still see Cringe Crew hanging around, all 5 grouped up, but the speed buff on the right-hand side has spawned. Cyclone are going to concede both.
It looks like it. I mean, you see Repikas heading over towards his right side jungle, and the problem here, this game is looking closer overall for Cyclone, but Ice is not having a good game in the jungle, sitting down about 1,500 gold right now, and that's not what you want. Fenrir wants to be the one with the 1,500 gold.
Repi, nice jump from Ice, but Repi still going to be chasing. A couple more hits onto Wlfy should secure the kill, and it's going to be Kero. He's playing out of his mind this game. This is his best game by far. Vote has rotated in. Deathwalker with the ult over the wall, but it doesn't matter. Right now, Cyclone in a bad spot, but Vote trying to make every play he can. EmilZy is very tanky, soaking up a lot of this damage, but Shaggyshenk is able to just throw in these pot shots and take to the sky.
Cringe Crew still going underneath the tier 2 tower. Here's the perfect route on to VoteNBK. They should be backing up right now. There's still a tier 1 tower, guys, on this right-hand side. There's no reason to be diving this tier 2, but you're right. Kero has been playing absolutely insane this game, without a doubt the strongest he's looked all weekend, and it couldn't have come at a better time for Cringe Crew.
And Repi as well. I mean, on this Batz, we saw him, I believe it was yesterday as well. I can't recall the opponent, but had a great game. His team wasn't able to match it, but Repi has been truly SWC1 Repi, I think, this tournament. We have not seen him play this consistently at a high level. We see him have those occasional really good games, but the consistency has always been the problem. He has shown up to play this tournament.
I totally agree with you. I mean, the Athena jungle last game, he still undefeated on it, now 6-0 in his career on Athena jungle. That last game, though, for me, was Zyrhoes showing up for sure. Huge for Cringe Crew, and that's a great sign if you're a Cringe Crew fan, is that we're talking about, oh yeah, Kero's having a great game, but what about Zyrhoes last game? And yeah, Repi's been real consistent, and EmilZy's played great.
Shaggy
has been the big star the first 2 days for Cringe Crew.
I'm starting to get a little bit of hope. I mean, I know this is Cyclone, right? It's not Obey, it's not Energy, but I'm starting to feel a little bit of hope for Cringe Crew to make Super Regionals and Obey. They got to be worried a little bit about watching the set right now.
I agree with you. However, Obey only does need 1 win. They don't need to find a 2-0, so the pressure is on to Cringe Crew to try and make the plays. Zyrhoes just trading out with Deathwalker, but it's going to favor Deathwalker. Ice making the rotation. The ultimate from Zyrhoes just trying to get him some extra health, but he's still in a lot of trouble.
But here's the Janus ult, and that's something you always got to worry about. A rotation from Cyclone. Callus is by himself, just trying to escape. Repi around the corner, and he could find Deathwalker, and he's got Kero and help. I don't think he's going to take that TP. A little bit too risky. No one else in position.
Vote pushing down that left-hand side. Shaggyshenk has made the rotation into the middle lane. It looks like Cringe Crew want to pressure this tier 2 tower in the mid. Vote's committing to this tier
Repi
1 on the left.
And he's going to push Callus into his team as well. He's got it back out. Kero's rotating on the side, and Cyclone are pushing forward. Deathwalker trying to be that frontline Bellona that his team needs him to be. Tier 2 was held just barely, and that has allowed Vote to get a free tower on the left-hand side.
Deciding to back right now. I would have liked to see him force out the teleport from Zyrhoes. He wouldn't have been able to get that tier 2 tower, but now Zyrhoes just able to do whatever he wants. Doesn't have to burn that important cooldown, as well as try and steal away the speed. Ice luckily able to get it for himself. Finally, he gets a speed buff. Now still sitting down a significant amount of gold, 1,600 now.
He's 1 in 5, down 2 levels, and when we saw him succeed on Fenrir and make all these plays, I mean, he was like 2 levels ahead by himself, this time 2 levels behind. It's pretty hard to play that Fenrir in this spot. He's got to rely on a lot of team damage coming out, so he really needs Wlfy to hit huge ultimates and VoteNBK to start rotating and making an impact on these fights.
That's the key, is how well is VoteNBK going to make an impact once he starts to rotate. Split pushing down that tier 1 tower on the left was definitely the right call, but now he's level 19. You've got your crit almost, you've got your crit started. You have your executioner. It's time to come in and make the impact that Cyclone needs you to make.
Well, 20 minutes in, and I think Cyclone realized they can't lose another Gold Fury. It was dead even game until that first one at about 13 minutes. Cringe Crew able to take that, a couple kills, and the tier 1 in mid, and started to gather this lead, and we're really seeing them group up and pressure it as much as possible. Cyclone, I mean, they really can't concede another free Gold Fury. That tier 2 in mid is also very low. That's a pretty much free 1,500 gold anytime Cringe Crew want to group up.
And that's the problem here for Cyclone, is that Wlfy isn't going to be able to be close to this fight because he has to make sure that middle lane is continually pushed up. They don't want to give away that 1,500 gold like you mentioned. My eyes are on Kero here. How well can he continue to use these ultimates?
Shaggy gonna take to the sky there, throw out some snipes, just trying to get damage off onto Wlfy. Kero throws out the portal just in case he needs it, but he doesn't. Callus though, where is he at?
Completely out of position. That's where he is. Cataclysm and Fear to Evil not going to be enough, though. He's actually baiting perfectly. Earthshaker a little bit off the mark, only hits EmilZy, but with the shield, basically just going to tickle the rock.
And Callus does burn his ult, but he gets EmilZy's and Repikas out of it. That's going to make it hard for Cringe Crew to force this gold tier, and you see them backing up. In the meantime, Zyrhoes finally starting to get the better end of Deathwalker there. I believe he picked up a Bulwark of Hope, just that extra health, right? The magic protection isn't doing anything, but that big health pool helping him sustain against
All
him.
right, can we be real for a second? Deathwalker and Zyrhoes are just padding their stats.
I really think they are
lane.
too. They're like, they whisper to each other like, yo, let's be top damage on our teams real quick.
They're like, there's no way either of them get a kill, even with a rotation, most likely. I mean, these guys are so tanky right now, sitting at level 18 and 19. No way anyone gets a kill in this lane. They're just fighting for the sake of fighting, because it's fun.
I don't know Deathwalker that well, but I definitely know that is Zyrhoes. He just wants to fight all the time. Like, let's go. Let's fight.
These guys are just playing like duel over here on the right side. Eventually, they'll join the rest of the team. I mean, we're 22 minutes in, and Zyrhoes has been in 5 of the 8 kills for Cringe Crew. Deathwalker in 2 of the 3, so they've been there when it counts, but not there right now.
Always going for Kero, or Wlfy, excuse me, caught him alone. Good Sanctuary again, and Ice is gonna find Repi, but a quick shield from EmilZy gonna keep him safe. Repi also burns beads there. Not a lot of trust on that Geb.
A little bit unfortunate because you have to communicate that. Just, hey, don't beads, I've got you. Don't beads, I've got you.
Especially against a Fenrir.
Exactly. It's very important to make sure that you're on the same page, because now that's worst case scenario. You don't have shield and you don't have purification.
Deathwalker has TP. Zyrhoes has already made his way over to this left-hand side, and Cyclone are not even close to a position to contest this, and it's going to be the second Gold Fury for Cringe Crew. Once again, going for these objective plays in both games, finding ever so slight leads without ever really having to fight or be contested.
It's because of the great job that Repikas and EmilZy have done forcing out Wlfy and Ice from being able to contest. Constant pressure onto this Vulcan in the middle lane means he can't get anywhere near Hunbats or Geb at any time without the purification.
To be fair, we haven't seen Wlfy get any peel from any of his members.
No, we really haven't. Callus has been kind of in a completely different area code most of the time when that engage happens. He's going to be here this time, though.
Deathwalker over the wall, quick shield from Repikas onto Repikas, and there's EmilZy into the back line. Blink Cataclysm. Shaggy takes to the sky as well. Fear no evil from Repikas. Shaggyshenk has already taken out one. Cyclone start to push forward. Ice super deep. He's trying to get something going for his team, but he's pinned in place. The rat stun as well. The shield making sure Repi's gonna stay alive. Kero with the big ult as well. And now Cringe Crew knocking down the doors of Cyclone.
Shaggy coming in from behind now, looking at VoteNBK, but a great disarm. Gonna save VoteNBK's life for now. Kero gonna pick up Callus underneath that tier 2 tower. It's gonna fall to minions, and Cyclone's gonna have to defend their middle Phoenix.
They're still regenning and Valen though. They can't even get there in time. Shaggy tearing down the walls. There's still towers in both side lanes, so they're not going to be able to get a second Phoenix, but 3 members wiped off the map. No one on Cringe Crew even close to dying outside of Repikas, and Ice had to go so deep to even get him that low.
Really unfortunate game. We talked about how Ice is the guy for Cyclone, and when your guy has an off game. This is sort of stuff that happens. 11-3 in favor of Cringe Crew, a 9K gold lead of 24 minutes, and now the Fire Giant being looked at by Cringe Crew.
We haven't seen Cyclone be able to contest a single objective in either one of these games. I mean, there was that one time with Ice where he jumped in, but I mean, it was a misplay between him and Vote. They didn't really combo properly, and that was the only time they put up any presence on those major objectives on the map, and you're seeing the result of that. 10,000 down, 25 minutes again. Just look at this lead once again. It was dead even until 13 minutes. Then the first Gold Fury, kind of, you know, get a tower, get a couple kills, and then again, that second Gold Fury into the fight afterwards, get a tower, and the Fire Giant just explodes this game from something that Cyclone had a chance in to something that it's going to be hard fought, almost needing Cringe Crew to make mistakes to come back into.
Experience is shining through here for Cringe Crew is the big thing for me. The experience of Repikas, Kero as well, EmilZy's looked great. Shaggy's had an awesome tournament thus far, really been the most consistent performer overall for Cringe Crew, and Zyrhoes finally starting to show some of that solo lane prowess here on day 3, looking really strong on this Erlang Shen. I'd be very surprised if Obey are watching this game if they give Zyrhoes that Erlang.
I mean, I might just take Kero's Janus away. It's not that I think he has the best Janus in the world, but this is Kero playing at the level he should be at this land. We didn't see it in day 1 and 2. We saw the Vulcan, we saw the Scylla. A lot of missed abilities, low synergy with his team, but every single ult I see from him on this Janus has connected onto a player, sometimes two.
He's looked absolutely phenomenal on this Janus. I completely agree with you. If we saw this sort of performance on the Scylla up against Cyclone, they wouldn't be in the position they're in. I'll put it that way.
Maybe Cringe Crew is coming in with a lead over Obey into this last day if they're all playing like they did or like they have been so far. Again, though, this is against Cyclone. They have to face Obey up next, but they got to be feeling good. You got to be feeling good if you're a Cringe Crew fan as well. Now starting to siege up this left-hand side Phoenix. They got the middle one knocked down.
And I love the positioning here from Kero. He's playing like a long-ranged assassin right now. He's waiting for the engage from Repikas, from EmilZy, and he's just going to look to insta-kill one of the squishies.
EmilZy sitting up front, waiting for the time. Blink Cataclysm connects to Ice to the back line, and there it is. Finds VoteNBK. He's forced out of the fight immediately. Ice so low as well. Cringe Crew, they've barely taken any damage. They're looking at Deathwalker right now. Repikas way overextended. Finds one kill, but gets traded out. Left Phoenix is down, and Regen is going to make sure EmilZy stays a little bit healthy. But Cyclone, honestly, a decent hold from them, trading 1-for-1. The issue is they lost Wlfy in that trade.
I'm not so sure that was a decent hold, as much of a little bit too deep there.
I think it was more Reppy playing himself.
A little. Congratulations, Reppy. You just played yourself, but going a little bit too deep for those kills. All you needed to do was secure that Phoenix. Instead, only 4 members left on Cringe Crew. Probably going to back up here, only taking these 2 Phoenixes with the Fire Giant. Just going to look to reset and wait for the next fire to
let's
respawn.
take a look at Golden Hand real quick before they do back. You can see 1,500 plus on everyone. 2,800 on Shaggyshenk. He's about to complete that Deathbringer. It's his damage about to spike pretty heavily. But to be fair, VoteNBK, he's very close to having a Deathbringer himself if that's what he's aiming for.
Pretty close, exactly. Only 300 gold in hand, though. He does need about, what is it, 1,400? It's 1,700 total, so that means he needs another 1,400. I'm not sure he's going to get it before the last fight. In fact, I'd rather see him just go for the Rage. It's a lot cheaper, able to pick it up. It's better than sitting on Short Sword when you lose the game. You might as well try and make the impact.
Maybe even say screw it and go power pot at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, this is, if you lose another fight, it's game. You have 2 Phoenixes knocked down. The second one has respawned, but it's unlikely to last very long, as we see Cringe Crew all grouped up, have spent their gold significantly ahead. They're not even full build yet. That means that is a huge gold lead for them that is just raw. It is a raw gold lead.
And you can see the items coming out. I mean, yeah, you do see Rod of Tahuti completed for Kero, but you see a Rod of Tahuti as well, or on the
Wlfy,
side of Wlfy. So you got to be careful because of that Vulcan ultimate. Doomorb stacks are up there as well.
VoteNBK and Wlfy, they have to make plays in this fight. They're the ones with the most damage on their team. The rest of the team is going to be playing setup for them. Into the back line goes Repikas, looking for VoteNBK, but he's got to reset. He's actually pulled back in. He gets the shield and he gets the portal as well. Kero finds the snipe onto Ice. Right-hand side, Shaggy barely able to make it out. Deathwalker trying to make a huge play, but look at that. Shaggy's alive. Reppy's alive with no health. A double kill for Kero as well. The Fire Giant regen gonna be so useful, and now Cringe Crew are gonna knock down this final Phoenix. Only 2 members left standing for Cyclone.
Cringe Crew taking care of business so far in set 1 of day 3, doing exactly what they needed to do to put them in the spot to qualify for Super Regionals. They took care of business here in the first 2. Up next, though, is the big boys in Obey.
Comfortable games from Cringe Crew.
Yes.
Not once were they behind. I don't even think we saw, maybe a couple invades in game 1, but nothing crazy. You can see their faces. You got to be confident. Deathian's the coach as well. Very happy with his team's performance. And I mean, Kero's got to be loving it because he had such a rough day 1 and day 2.
Yeah.
Admitted it himself, but showed up here.
And it doesn't matter if you have a bad day 1 and day 2, as long as you're still in it and then come out hot on day 3. Who cares, man? All your past sins have been forgiven as long as you're able to carry your team here on day 3. Had a really good first 2 games here against Cyclone. Let's see if we can keep it going up against Obey.
Shaggy's been a monster as well. Hugs all around. Cyclone likely to be a pretty low seed on the gauntlet with that. They're going to have to 2-0 in their final set against Energy. Probably not going to see that. I think they're going to be right in the bottom of the gauntlet. They did actually get to watch, though, their opponent, challenger team, BurritoGG, play earlier. The win over Circa happened there, so
yeah.
They know what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, Burrito looked really good in those games overall, so that's going to be a very exciting matchup. And then, I don't know, I mean, maybe at Energy, there is some hope for Cyclone. Maybe Energy's already secured first seed in this group. We see some AMC out of ML, something like that. Could be fun to watch.
Fun. Interesting definition.
Yeah.
And feeding on
I
AMC.
love those games, man. It's just
fun.
like
It's fair.
deathmatch on the Conquest map. I like it.
All right, that was a pretty long game. Comfortable wins for Cringe Crew, though. Tom, why don't you break it down for us?
Zyrhoes. I really think that's it's a little bit more deep than that. Like we said, it wasn't a short set, but Zyrhoes coming in the clutch. Zyrhoes and Kero really making it happen.
I would say so, definitely. Cringe Crew was on the better end of this one. iceicebabyy unfortunately didn't get off to that early start that he needed to playing the Fenrir. He made the one good play in the solo lane where he was waiting for the gank into the counter gank, but it was all Cringe Crew the whole day.
I'll go in here a little bit because Cyclone, from my point of view, there played not to lose instead of playing to win.
Sure.
That's what I felt from the outset. Early on, they nearly got a pick on the Geb, right? Then they put the mid laner behind because of the fact they have to take Portal, and they don't abuse that situation. Janus goes over and gets the left-hand Harpies. Very well played by Kero to do that. They invade the right-hand Harpies. iceicebabyy was the one trying to go in every single time. Kumbhakarna, no blink on the Kumbhakarna. He wasn't engaging for the team. They had no engagement. They sat back. They allowed Cringe Crew to do these setups where they CC'd them all up. The Janus snipes hit for days because they were all free, and then the boys of Cyclone tried to turn it around every single time. They played not to lose instead of playing to win.
Yeah, it's going to stunt you just a little bit, especially when the other side is playing just fantastically. I mean, really, I think this was the best set that we've seen out of Cringe Crew, in all honesty. Every cylinder really firing. And like I said, this is the first game where I feel like watching Zyrhoes, both in the Pro League and then here this weekend, has been watching Zyrhoes, the new solo laner, freshly moved from mid. This was the first game where I said Zyrhoes the solo laner.
Yeah, he was doing a great job on that Erlang Shen, and like we mentioned before, when he drafted it very early in the second game, it's partially due to how much experience he's been playing against the top solo laner in Europe, Dimmy. So he's taken a little bit of his style into his own gameplay, and we saw both in games number 1 and 2 just how effective he is on the Erlang.
Composition just came so well together for Cringe Crew there more than anything else. Cyclone, like I said, like they didn't engage. They didn't hardly engage other than the Fenrir. And then when Ice gets behind, he still has to keep going in his Fenrir because he's the only engage on his team. And then when he keeps getting blown up every time, it's like, well, the mid and jungle is shredded to death.
Yeah, a little bit troublesome there for the guys on Cyclone. Obviously, Cringe Crew go ahead and select and earn themselves 3 more points. So as they push on to the next one, they've got Obey across the way. I think it should be a different story here, however, when they take on Obey.
The most interesting thing about this, though, is that what could have actually happened if Cyclone and Cringe Crew split there. Cringe Crew could have potentially 2-0'd Obey, and then we would have had a tiebreaker situation between those two teams. This is the way even. However, because they go into this next game, that game against each other later on today, if a split happens, it's Obey because they're going to get a point, and so will Cringe Crew.
All Obey needs is that one game in the next set. It's very important for Cringe Crew to come out strong in the next set, get those 3 points, separate themselves by at least 2, so that way, in the last set for Cringe Crew, they need to win both of their own just to qualify.
Exactly. Big stuff coming up for pretty much all these teams, honestly, except for Energy. I think Energy is just a little bit comfy.
They are comfy, but they weren't as clean as we've seen them before. You know, they know that themselves. They weren't happy with their day one performance overall there. They do need to improve it going forward. That's the main thing they need to do.
And I think Energy, after day number 1 specifically, they've just been kind of down on themselves, I would say, and they've been just on a completely different side, going on a tear.
Yeah, really good tear for them there. The kill-death ratio here, as you can see, 16-4. It was just pretty much domination from the outset there. Although only the start was very, very good, you know, that was the thing. The start was good for them, but they never capitalized on that start whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, when you get the situation, I heard you before talking about, all right, so the Janus has portal instead of unstable, do something about it. Make an invade there, because you know he's kind of stunted with the poor choice of ability.
Credit to them, and they didn't go for the back harpies afterwards there. I like Kero's adaptation. He realized that if he didn't go for the harpies at the start of the game on the other side, they would lose both sets there. And that would have potentially snowballed the fact that the Fenrir Vulcan could have got to a very, very good start. Geb comes into play though with shields as the game goes on. The Ragnaroks making an impact for times, but then the communication between him and Wlfy wasn't on the mark either.
And even trying to invade a Janus that does have a portal, it's not the easiest thing in the world without a Wrath, right? You're trying to look for the fight, so you would have to delay it because a good position portal is very hard to really fight into, especially in the jungle side near those back harpies where you all have to funnel in a little corridor.
So here, Cringe Crew, I think we all are in agreement that this was one of their better matches. Just looking really clean, both out of the solo lane and out of the mid lane. What do you think they can take on to the next set? Like we said, they're up against Obey, a little bit of a different opposition than Cyclone. What can they hold on to for next set?
My play of view is definitely going to come down to picks and bans between these two teams. It's so important to make sure that you don't put people on super comfortable things the whole time. Cringe Crew's come there, look relatively comfortable. They got pretty much what they were after for the most part there. Obey, if they can get what they're comfortable on, we've seen Obey beat Cringe Crew with both on comfort picks. You've got to make sure if you're Cringe Crew, you don't give Obey the comfort picks.
Very true. How about you?
Not going to give him the Jing way on Ataraxia. I think that they're more comfortable letting him play the Chiron and sort of deal with that kind of strategy. I don't expect either team to really be allowed to get the Freya either.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be a little bit left in the closet for sure. But again, coming back to this one, Cringe Crew versus Cyclone, very strong play coming out of Cringe Crew, specifically out of the solo lane. And we've got him on board at Zyrhoes, and he's talking aggro right over there.
I'm joined by Zyrhoes, like you mentioned, F. An awesome set for you there, man. You're looking very comfortable on that Erlang. Talk to me about your overall transition from the mid lane to solo.
Well, I usually been able to play like most roles at a decent level, but it's been going kind of well. I still have a lot to learn, as you probably could have seen from some of the games yesterday, like the Changa game, for example. But yeah, I like it.
So no Changa mid or Changa solo from you anytime soon?
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. You never know.
Maybe Afro.
That's right. So how you guys feeling going into this? You pick up a big 2-0 here from Cyclone. If you're able to pick up the 2-0 against Obey, you're putting yourself in a really great spot to qualify for Super Regionals.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what we're looking for, obviously. I think we can do it like we've been beating them before. So like, I know we know what we want to draft now as well and what we need to ban against them. So I think we're a good shot, yeah.
Talk to me about the sort of transition. I mean, your team doesn't have any LAN rookies on it. You guys have all kind of been here before, but it still wasn't like quite where you wanted it to be the first few days, especially Kero in the mid lane. Yeah. How have you guys been kind of transitioning from day 1 to now on day 3?
I mean, when we got there, like, we played what we played in scrims, you know, what been working for us, and like, some of the things didn't work, and we just tried to adjust to it, you know, like, that's what you gotta do. That's like every LAN pretty much, so.
All right, well, this is going to be an awesome set coming up. Like I mentioned, it's going to be very important for Cringe Crew to pick up the 2-0 here. I believe if Obey just pick up 1 win, they guarantee themselves second place. So good luck, Zyrhoes. We'll be looking forward to it. We're going to go to a short break, and we'll bring you that set right afterwards.